I'm here with Tammy Honaman of Fire Mountain Gems and Beads. And Tammy, you brought a really cool project for us because we're talking about findings and different ways that you can incorporate findings and spacers into your bracelets.
Yes.
And you brought two great examples that we're going to showcase today. And you're going to show us how to do both of them, correct?
Yes, we'll get through them both.
Okay.
All right. Well, findings are so fun, and this piece incorporates three specific findings: a multi-strand clasp, a tube bail, and
thread.
Spacer bars, which we'll get to later. This first bracelet incorporates just the multi-strand clasp and these tube bails. And we're going to take a pearl and just make a simple loop.
Okay.
And attach that to a tube bail. And I do about 30 of those.
Wow.
So that you have enough to get through your whole design and you don't have to stop in the middle of it once you get started.
Yeah, well, it's best, I'm sure, just to do it all at once.
You got it, you got it. And then from there, we're going to cut a really long length of thread. It'll be about 3 yards worth of thread. Okay. And I'm going to anchor it to one of the loops on the multi-strand clasp. I'll do a double knot there, just so it stays in place.
Any particular type of thread you're using?
This is Nymo. It's a nylon-based thread, which holds up pretty well through wear and tear.
Okay, yeah, we like that.
Yeah. And then this tool here is the bead stringing tool that I like to use because it makes stringing seed beads so fast. So it really makes what would be a complicated project go very quickly. And I'll demonstrate that for you. It has this fish hook needle, and when you spin the bead base, the bowl, the beads just feed right up the hook.
Boy, does that take a lot of time off of you.
Oh, yeah.
Especially as the eyes start going.
Well, yeah. And then from there, we'll just move the beads down.
Okay.
And then these tube bails go right over the needle. So then you can just string them in as you wish.
Oh, yeah.
It's that simple. Then you just keep stringing beads. And then when you get down to the other end of the other multi-strand clasp on the other side, you'll want to loop around twice. And you can do an overhand knot there for security purposes if you like.
Okay.
And then we'll just go back and forth so that you can see how the rows are progressing. I have an example here showing 3 rows. And then I'll complete a 4th row, which is shown here in this example.
So do you do 4 rows in each one of the loops?
Each loop has 4 rows.
Okay.
You can do 5 if you want to. I just chose for this design to do 4. It was certainly full enough for me. And then once you get down to this 4th row, we're going to go to the middle of the multi-strand clasp.
Okay.
And I'll just thread the needle through that loop. You were talking about those eyes.
I'm the same way.
And then we'll just string more beads.
Okay.
And then go across to the center of this other.
So you're just kind of crisscrossing to the other side.
We're just crisscrossing. Right. And then we'll just go all the way through until I have 4 strands strung on each multi-strand loop. And then once I'm all finished, I will put a regular standard needle. I will take off the other needle, the fishhook needle, and I will put on a regular needle, and then I'll just weave my way through each row of beads.
And that's for security, for extra security.
You don't want to go through all that work and then have it fall apart.
Absolutely. And of course you did say earlier though that you just kind of weave it through, you do that double knot at the end anyway. So you've done that and now you're going to weave through the entire thing.
Right, and that really should help hold it together.
Absolutely. Now we're not finished.
We're not
We've got
finished.
another great one.
We do. This is a very similar technique, but it's a lot more organized. It's not loose. Like the other one is a little bit more flowy. This one is a lot more structured.
More textured, yeah.
It is.
Okay.
And I like to use these amethyst teardrop shaped beads. Or these are actually the ovals. And I just do a wrap loop and attach them to a tube bail as well. So we're using the same bail.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the design is it's based on a multi-strand clasp. And here you can see I've already anchored my thread to one loop.
Okay.
I've strung a few seed beads. I've added my tube bail, strung another section of seed beads. And what I've done is I've established the distance between my parts.
So you have to measure that out. It can't be as loose as the other one, as you just said.
That is correct.
It's more structured.
That is correct. What I like to do is determine my length of my finished bracelet and then divide it by however many parts I have. I have 4 spacer bars in this design.
Because the beads won't go through the spacers.
They will not.
Okay.
They will not. So it actually helps establish your design because they don't go through there. But you also do have to keep in mind that once you've established that distance, you have to maintain it. So then we'll just pick up some seed beads. And it's very random. I'm not a very symmetrical person, which does tend to drive my husband crazy, but he likes symmetry. But it is really up to you as far as whether you like symmetry or if you like to be more asymmetrical.
Right.
And you can see in this next row, as I've gone through and done one row here, in the center of what would be the bracelet when it's finished, I've added 2 drops into that center section.
Gotcha.
And then I've progressed down. And what I tend to do is I only add drops going in one direction.
Okay.
As I work my way back, I just do seed beads.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to take away from the full effect of the finished bracelet once we get here. You can't tell that there are equal amounts of single rows of seed beads.
I was going to say, you actually technically have, just going back to this one for a second, 2 rows going through one opening.
Yes.
So it's 2 rows, but one of them has the bail on it, the tube bail, and the other one is just seed beads.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
You could do more tube bails with amethyst drops. It's completely up to you.
It's just the design factor as far as you go.
Right.
Yeah, and so how do you secure it at the end there?
Well, and again, I go through and I add, I have enough thread so that as I go through, I'll take my needle and I'll work my way all the way through, back through all of the beads and all of the rows.
Those are perfect. That's great. Now, what happens if you don't cut enough thread? You
can cut a new length of thread and knot it in a convenient place that it won't be showing.
Gotcha.
And then just start over.
And just attach it and start over from there. That's good, because I could see myself doing that.
Well, and it's a lot of thread to work with, and the thread can get frustrating to work with. So I would start with what's comfortable.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at the finished project to see how they look. I love both of these. You can see the finished, I love the color combination of the peridot color and the amethyst. I think that's a classic design. And the one next to it, is that a different clasp than you used on the first project?
Yes, it is. What I liked about this clasp was that now I can take my bracelet and add ribbon to that clasp and make it into a necklace.
And you've brought examples of that, which I think is just wonderful. You can see the first one next to me. You've got the ribbon, you've just opened it up and really just attached that ribbon to it, and now it's a versatile piece. It's gorgeous. Love that.
Thank you.
And of course, there's some other designs just using the spacer bars, correct?
Yes. Still a multi-layer, and then those spacer bars, which really give a lot of organization to a design.
And the thing that I love is the use of spacer bars in earrings.
Isn't that fun?
I've never seen that before. That's perfect.
Just adding those pearls out the holes of the spacer bar.
Great. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Oh, you're very welcome.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Well, Katie Hacker is up next with this week's beading lesson.